Welcome back to the Random and Wonderful podcast. If you're joining me for the first time, hello. I'm your host, Grace Simmons, your favorite mindset coach. I'm a casual traveler, a nap advocate, and my mission is to convince everyone that I meet to travel solo at least once. Stay tuned till the end because I have a travel opportunity that I want to share with you. During this next set of episodes, I want to look at the impact of travel, whether it's a growth opportunity or it just provides insight. I'm always impressed with the different ways that people experience travel. Sometimes it's a lifeline, it's a bridge, or a place of solitude to heal and recover. You and I will dive into a deeper understanding of the benefits and lessons learned from travel. I hope it inspires you, not just to plan your next trip, but to travel with intention. You'll hear from me and some of my wonderful guests starting next week, and then you will have a new episode every other week. So let's get into it. So since this is an intro episode, I want to get into why I decided to create a podcast about travel instead of giving you a book to read on personal development. My goal is to help you grow each time we meet. Before I called myself a mindset coach, I had earned my master's in organizational communications, and I have a blend of personal, professional, mentoring, and now formally coaching experience over 10 years. So I enjoy getting a person from point A to point B or seeing their potential at its full realization. That moment when someone's eyes open up and they realize that they're not stuck or there are actually other options. That makes my heart so happy because I know that people can feel stuck in a certain pattern. And so to open that door and break down those walls and make sure that they understand that there's more than what they've been experiencing, that's just an absolute joy. You know, when someone gives you advice that you can't use or you didn't ask for, or it takes way longer than they actually claimed? I hate that too. That's why I appreciate the approach of coaching. So you would come to me with a problem to solve and we would work it out together. How quickly we come to a solution depends on your effort. To me, that makes a more unique experience. So if you wanted to be better at speaking up in the office, or you only travel in the United States and now you want to expand. Maybe you want to conduct your first solo trip. So a little bit more about me. A bonus is that I am an Army veteran, which is actually where that informal coaching started. Now, I didn't realize this until I was having a conversation with someone. Sometimes it's good to share your prior experience with other people because they point out the different ways your life's journey has guided you to be the person that you are. So why a travel mindset coach? A solo traveler's mindset is one that is adaptable, it's independent, and it's curious. I feel like we lose our sense of curiosity when we get older. There's so much happening in the world, and it's easier to just keep your head down and focus on your daily routine. You need to block out any factors that could disturb or disrupt you or make you question the day to day. But traveling forces you into a space where these questions are necessary. You're physically removed from your daily routine and you're opened up to the unknown, especially when you experience a completely different culture. Independence is also a trait of a solo traveler. You'll learn to figure out what you need, make decisions for yourself, even if that means sitting quietly at the beach. Something to keep in mind, being independent does not mean antisocial. Being independent is you can function with the group or without one. But if the group is taken away, you're able to make decisions. You're able to still have that same joy and experience life, but you're not dependent on other people making those choices for you or telling you what to do or figuring things out. You have it within yourself to make those choices. And like I said, even if your choice is, I just want to hang out at the beach, that is 100% in your right. And that's beautiful to know that that's what you want to do rather than that being what someone else wants you to do. Lastly, being adaptable is a practice that requires patience and emotional intelligence. Sometimes we want something to work so badly that we struggle to see other solutions. Traveling forces you to be open to adjustments when those plans change. If things don't work out the way you planned, you realize that it's perfectly fine. As I was writing out this podcast, I was supposed to be planning a trip, and a few days before the trip, my flight got canceled. Now, the only help that I could get was from a customer service number, and I had to call in. There was no way to change something online or look for other flights and just quickly make my adjustment. Initially, it was very frustrating, but I had to make a decision. Either I canceled my trip or I rebooked it somewhere else. And keeping in mind, it was going to cost me a lot more because the cancellation happened days before I was supposed to go on my trip. So keep in mind, things happen. I named this podcast The Random and Wonderful because I find life in all of its frustrations and joy and sadness and adventure. We have opportunities to make the most of our lives. And combining personal development and travel is my way of embracing life's challenge and showing others that through a mindset shift, you can make the best out of your story. My travel story actually begins with skydiving in Florida. If you've listened to one of my previous episodes, you would have heard me talk about my epiphany while skydiving, so I'll summarize it here. I was able to focus on how stagnant my life had become and how minimized I had created my own personality so that I was a lesser version of myself. The change happened when I thought, there's no way God created this beautiful planet for my only option to be sad and feel useless. Something happened while I was falling from the plane. I felt small, but mighty and capable. I felt my being here, my being alive was deliberate. And I wanted to take a more active role in my life. Now, I didn't want to just be in a space because that's what was handed to me. But I also didn't want to overwhelm myself trying to prove that I could do everything because I felt so capable. So the skydiving experience was definitely a turning point for me, but that required action. I started by finding a new job, connecting with a new mentor, hiring a therapist, removing certain friends, implementing and pursuing creative outlets that brought me joy and they brought me growth, like this podcast. This led to going on my first solo trip to Iceland, which is absolutely amazing. It was actually planned as a group trip, but due to factors outside of my control, my options were to cancel or go alone. I went. And I went during the summer, so I didn't really get to see the Northern Lights. But being in the summer where the sun doesn't really set, and experiencing like 3:00 in the morning as if it's 6 in the evening, it made the day feel long. Like there were so many adventures to be had. I think putting myself through the experience of solo travel, although I don't do it every single month, like I'd love to, but creating different trips, like going to Portugal and going to Iceland and taking a drive to another state and just spending some time alone. There's so many things that I've learned. And what I try to share with other people is that finding yourself, finding that confidence and creating a space where you can plan what you want to do, you know what you want to do, and then you just make adjustments as the day goes on. All of these things require you getting in touch with who you are as a person. You have to understand your interests. You have to be clear on certain boundaries. What would you want to do and what do you absolutely not want to do? And you want to make sure that that decision doesn't come from a place of fear, but it comes out of knowledge. I know I don't want to do this because I don't want to do it, versus I don't want to go skydiving because I'm afraid to go skydiving. There are many opportunities to grow, especially if you've only been in the same place where you're exposed to the same people, or you only hang around the same people, so they look like you, they think like you, there isn't a variety of life experience. Traveling forces you into a space where you can connect with other people who have had a different life experience. And that's what makes it all beautiful. And keep in mind, you don't have to cross the oceans to find someone new. You can go into another state or maybe go to another region. Just get outside of your normal routine and the people that you always interact with and just expand beyond that. This is a practice of community, wanting to connect with other people and be curious about other people, and make sure you're vulnerable enough to admit that you don't know everything. That is the opening to asking questions. So this next series is going to involve all of this loveliness. I'm going to share a few more stories. We're going to listen to interviews with other people who are amazing. They've traveled, and in some way they've incorporated travel into their lives. And I think you yourself will learn how to create a unique experience. So you don't have to quit your job and go off into the world. You don't have to leave your family and experience this. You don't have to do solo travel. So there's a good blend of the different people that I'm interviewing that I think share a unique perspective, different than my own experience during travel. And that's what makes it exciting for me, is that we all have certain things in common, but what we experience is so different. It's beautiful. All right. If you're looking for an excuse to travel in October, I'm hosting a wellness retreat in a location that requires a passport. There's space for 10 ladies, and with this trip, you can attend live coaching sessions to plan out your first solo trip. So please invite a friend so you guys can bond together over this amazing experience. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining me. I am excited to talk to you next week. Bye.